Hello students, today we will discuss about heterotrophic nutrition in plants, that is chapter 1, nutrition in plants. In first video we have discussed about autotrophic nutrition. In that we discuss in detail that how autotrophic means plants prepare their food by the process of photosynthesis. Now some of the questions may arise in your mind, such as what is the ultimate source of energy on the earth? The ultimate source of energy on the earth is sun, and the ultimate source of food. If it is asked ultimate source of energy, then the answer is sun, and if it is asked the ultimate source of food, then the answer will be green plants. In which part of the plants, whatever cacti are there, in that plants leaves change into spine. So in which part of the plant photosynthesis take place? So in that plants photosynthesis take place in the stem. Their stem is succulent, that is fleshy, that is juicy. In that chlorophyll is there in the stem only. In cactus or cacti, photosynthesis take place. Of human beings prepare their food in their kitchen. So are they autotroph or heterotrophs? So human beings are heterotrophs, because whatever food they prepare in their kitchen, that is the ingredients they take either from the plants or animals, means they depend on other organisms for their food. So human beings are heterotrophs. So today we will discuss about heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Various organisms take their food from various sources, as whatever autotrophic green plants, they prepare their food by themselves. But in heterotrophic mode of nutrition, various organisms take their food from various sources in various mode. So on the basis of that, on the basis of mode of feeding, organisms means has been divided in 4 categories, and type of mode of nutrition is also, that is 4 types. The first one is parasitic nutrition. Para means others, sitic means dependent. So para means other and sitic means dependent. So the organisms which depend on other organisms for their food and shelter, they may be depend for the shelter also, but they depend on other organisms for their food, on other living organisms. So that is called they are called parasites, and that mode of nutrition is called parasitic nutrition. Some of the organisms completely depend on the organisms from where they take their food. The organisms from where they take food, from which organism they take food, that organism is called host. That is called host. That organism is called host. Such as in our head, whatever lice are found, they take their food from our body. So we are the host and lice is the parasite. In case of plants, you may have listened about Cuscuta, that is called amarbel. So that grow on other plants, and that take its food from some green plant. So that green plant is called host. So some of the organisms, some of the plants are completely depend on the host, and some of them are partially depend. So on the basis of that, they can be categorized in 2 categories: partial parasite and total parasite. Partial parasite example is mistletoe. This plant grow on the branches, thick branches of other trees, and that take its food from that tree, but that do not completely depend on that plant, that take water and mineral from that host plant, and it have chlorophyll, it have leaves, green leaves, it have chlorophyll in it, and that synthesize its food. Means it depends for only water and minerals on the host plant, and that prepare its food by the process of photosynthesis. So it is partial parasite. But Cuscuta do not have green leaves, that do not have only leaf, that do not have leaf. So that do not have chlorophyll and that is not able to synthesize its food, that grow on other plants, other green plants, and that it is completely depend on that host plant for its food, that do not synthesize its food because they do not have chlorophyll. So Cuscuta is a total parasite, total parasitic plant. Now, so this mode of nutrition is called parasitic mode of nutrition, and the organism are called parasites, and from which organism they take food, that is called host. That host is also living, that is also living. Next mode of nutrition is called saprophytic or saprotrophic nutrition. Sapro means decaying matter, phytos means plants, means the plants which take their food from dead and decaying matter, they are called saprophytes or saprotrophs. And this mode of nutrition is called saprophytic nutrition or saprotrophic nutrition. For example, bread mold, mushroom. Bread mold, in sometimes you may have seen green patches on the old bread if it is left in moist condition for some days, then green patches, greenish, that is not green, that is greenish or greyish patches grow on that. That is the growth of the bread mold, that is a fungus, a type of fungus. Mushroom that we eat in the form of vegetable, so that is also a fungus. That is, they do not have chlorophyll, that cannot synthesize its food. It takes its food from the dead and decaying matter. So it is a type of saprotroph. All type of mushrooms are not edible. So when we are using mushroom as a vegetable, we should be careful that whatever beneficial mushroom is there, that we are using, and similar to that mushroom, other fungus should not be used, that may be poisonous, so it may be harmful. So saprotrophic organisms, yeah, saprotrophs take their food from dead and decaying matters. Dead and decaying matter, that may be cow dung, that may be dead plants, or leaves of the plants, rotting leaves of the plants, or some of the organic material. It should be organic material. That organic material means that material which is obtained from either from the plant or animals. So they grow on that. So they are called saprotroph, and that mode of nutrition is called saprotrophic nutrition or saprophytic nutrition. Next is insectivorous plants. Of insectivorous plants, from the name it is clear that insectivorous, vorous means who eats. It is taken from the Latin word vore. So the meaning of that is to eat greedily or to devour. So insectivorous means the plants, insectivorous plants means the plants which eat insects or worms to fulfill the requirement of their food. These plants, although they have green leaves, they can synthesize food, but for the nitrogenous, especially for the nitrogenous food, they depend on the insects or worms. They eat them and they fulfill the requirement of the nitrogen and other substances, mainly for nitrogen. Example is pitcher plant, that is pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, bladderwort, sand dew plant. So these plants have some attractive structures in its body, that is that help in trapping the insects, because they are attractive. Insects attract towards that, and that is colorful, that insects attract towards that and they are trapped in it. As in the case of pitcher plant, a pitcher like structure is found. A pitcher like leaf changes into a pitcher like structure and it have a lid over it. Lid like structure over that, and so it is colorful, and inside that the H2 enzymes are here. So and it have hair like structures inside it. When insects come here, because of its colorful structure, because of attractive, it is attractive, so insects attracts towards it, and when they go inside, so because of these hair like structures, they go downward, they slide downward, but they are not able to move upward, that entangle them, and that restrict the insects to go out. And when they come down at here at the bottom, and since here is the H2 enzymes, there is some fluid that have H2 enzymes, and this leaf, when it come inside that, so it is sensitive, and this leaf like structure that works as a lid, and that covers its mouth, and insect whatever is here, that insect get digested in it, and whatever nutrients are there in the body of insect, that is absorbed by the plant. So this is how insectivorous plants attract the insects and worms, and they catch it. In Venus flytrap also a colorful structure is found, comb like structure is found, and when the insects come in it, that catch it, and inside that digest, and nutrients are taken by the plants. So like this, insectivorous plants fulfill the requirement of nitrogen and other substances, especially nitrogen, from the insects, small worms, by eating them. Next is symbiosis or symbiotic relationship. In this mode of nutrition, means in symbiosis or symbiotic relationship, this is a mode of nutrition in which two organisms live together, work together for the mutual benefit of each other. Means both get benefited and both do work. For example, lichen. Lichen is a combination of two organisms in which one alga and a fungus. This is the combination of two organisms, an alga and a fungus. So alga, since have chlorophyll, that is green, that have chlorophyll, that is autotroph, so that synthesize food, that can synthesize food in the presence of sunlight. And fungus is a non-green plant, it is fungus, that is non-green plant, so that do not have chlorophyll, that absorb water and minerals from the substratum wherever they grow, that absorb water and minerals and provide to alga, and provide, since alga have chlorophyll, so after getting water and minerals, that synthesize food by the process of photosynthesis, and both get that food, so both get benefited and both do work for the mutual, that is providing water and minerals to the alga, and alga is providing synthesizing food and providing to the fungus also. So both are working and both are getting benefited. So this mode of nutrition is called symbiosis, or this relation is called symbiotic relation. One more example is there, further it will come. Rhizobium bacteria in leguminous plants, whatever roots are there, so in their roots small knots are found. This is called root nodules. So in these root nodules, rhizobium bacteria is found. This rhizobium bacteria trap atmospheric nitrogen and that convert atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogen compounds and that provide to the plant, because plant need nitrogen for growth. So by the presence of rhizobium bacteria in the root nodule of leguminous plant, it is found in leguminous plant like pea, bean, arhar, gram, etc., black gram, green gram. So in their roots, root nodules are there. In that root nodules, rhizobium bacteria are found, and these rhizobium bacteria convert atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogen compounds like nitrates and nitrites, and they make it available for the plants. So plant get nitrogen and bacteria get shelter and food. So both are getting benefited by each other, and both are working, means that providing shelter and food to the bacteria, and bacteria is providing nitrogen to the plant. So here is also a symbiotic relationship. Whatever two organisms take part, they are called symbionts. They are called symbionts. Means in case of lichen, alga and fungus are symbionts and they live together. So that mode of nutrition, that relationship is called symbiotic relationship, and that mode of nutrition is called symbiosis. So here also rhizobium is symbiont and leguminous plant is also a symbiont, which live together and work together for the mutual benefit of each other. So these are the four types of heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Now we will discuss about the last topic of the chapter, that is how nutrients are replenished into the soil. So nutrients, the question is how nutrients are replenished in the soil. So nutrients can be replenished by natural method. A natural method, that may be the crop field may be left for 1 or 2 seasons without taking any crop in that. So whatever old leaves will be there, old leaves of the grasses, plants will be there, that will rot into the field. Whatever animals will go in grazing in that field, they will excrete, so that their dung will also be mixed into the soil. So naturally the enrichment of soil will be there, and that leaving the land for 1 or 2 seasons without taking any crop for increasing its fertility, that is called field fallow. Field fallow. The other method is crop rotation or mixed cropping. In crop rotation, in one season non-leguminous crop is taken, and in other season leguminous crop is taken. Since leguminous crop, as we discussed earlier, that leguminous plants have root nodules, and in that nitrogen fixing bacteria is present that help in enriching the soil, enriching the fertility of the soil. So in one season if non-leguminous plant is taken, and in other season leguminous crop is taken, then in whatever season leguminous crop will be taken, that will help in enriching the fertility of the soil. So that will be beneficial for the next crop. In mixed cropping also, so in crop rotation, in one season one crop, other season other crop, so that is called rotation of the crop. And in mixed cropping, two or more crops are sown together, so that is called mixed cropping. One crop may be leguminous crop and other may be non-leguminous crop. So if they are sown together with taking care that at proper distance they should be, so that their production may not be affected. So that is called mixed cropping, and that also help in enriching the fertility of the soil because of presence of leguminous crops. By adding, so it was natural, and the other method that is by adding manures and fertilizer, and manures and fertilizer. So manures and fertilizers are added by the farmers to enrich the fertility of the soil. You may have seen also, before sowing the crop, when soil preparation is there for the sowing crop, so manures and fertilizers are added into the soil also, and in standing crop also fertilizers are used for the proper growth of the plants. So that help in enriching the fertility of the soil. In manures, that may be slurry of biogas plant, whatever after the use of, means in biogas plant cow dung is used for producing gas, for the producing cooking gas. So after use, whatever cow dung is there that comes out from one side, that is called slurry, and that can be used in the crop field for enriching the fertility of the soil. That may be compost or vermicompost. So this is prepared in the by the organic matters, means that wastage of plants and animals, and that are left into the dish for 2-3 months by using worms. So that is called vermicompost, and if it is left only as it is, so naturally that decompose because of the presence of worms, etc. in that. So that decompose and that change into compost. So that compost also used for enriching the fertility of the soil. That may be green manures. Green manures, what is? So green manures, some of the plants, some of the crop plants are sown into the field by the farmer not to get some yield from that, means that is not sown neither for its seed nor for its fruit. So that is sown only in the crop field, and before flowering it is cultivated into the crop field, like black gram, etc., black gram, green gram, and some other plants are also there. They are used for enriching the fertility of the soil. They are sown into the crop field, and before flowering of them, they are cultivated. They are, means soil are turned up, and the plant is suppressed under the soil, and in the soil that rot, that decompose, and that enrich the fertility of the soil. That is called green manuring. So these are the various manures which are used to enrich the fertility of the soil. If we talk about fertilizers, so fertilizers such as urea, that is a good source of nitrogen, approx 46% nitrogen is there, that have approx 46% nitrogen in it. So that is used for in the crop field for enriching the fertility of the soil. So यूरिया हो गया, NPK, that have nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, that have three components, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. They are very necessary for the crop plants for their growth. Ammonium nitrate, ammonium sulfate, ammonium sulfate is also there. Ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, sodium nitrate, sodium nitrate, so these are the various fertilizers. Many more are also there. They are used according to the requirement of the plant. Whatever nutrients are required by the plants, that is identified by the farmers or with the help of whatever centers are there related to the agriculture. These fertilizers are used in the crop field for enriching the fertility of the soil to get the good yield. Yield means upaj, whatever grains are, means whatever we have sown the crop field, so its production is, that is called yield, YIELD. The spelling is yield. So to get good yield, farmers use various fertilizers like urea, NPK, ammonium nitrate, ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, sodium nitrate. These are the various fertilizers which are used by the farmers to enrich the fertility of the soil. So this was about this chapter. If you have any confusion, then you will ask questions. Thank you.